This is Seattle Kitchen with chefs Tom Douglas and Terry Rotaro on the all-new Cairo Radio Weekends.
Welcome. This is Chef Tom Douglas in the Seattle Kitchen. Thank you and for joining us every Saturday and Sunday here on Cairo Radio. We're coming to you live from my home kitchen. It's beautiful. I don't know if you heard that bacon cooking in the background, but it is quite fantastic with some big fat rice noodles and dried shrimp and green onions and hoisin sauce and some hot chili sauce.
Love that flavor. Beautiful.
Pretty good, huh? I'm Chef Tom Douglas. I own several of Seattle's restaurants, and including the Dahlia Lounge, Dahlia Bakery, which has a brand new cookbook out, the Dahlia Bakery Cookbook. We're so excited. It hit the New York Times bestseller list. Woo! Can't believe it. First time ever for me. I'm joined in the studio, as I am every week,
with Thierry Rotaro, the chef in the hat, owner of Rovers and Luke in Madison Valley, and always a pleasure to be here with you.
And the ever-present
looming shadow, Katie O on the go.
Who looming shadow keeps us together a bit, I would say. Katie's job is to...
I do my best, but it's like herding cats around this place. It's really tough with you
kind.
two.
That's very kind. Yeah, that's special. We like to start the show with our friends at Whole Foods Markets and find out. We are getting in the mood to buy some turkey. And Whole Foods Markets is full of turkeys of the organic, sustainable variety. And Terry, if you were walking down in a grocery store right now and buying yourself a turkey to get ready for Thanksgiving, because, you know, it's not a bad time. It is just 2 weeks. And if you buy a frozen turkey that's in cryovac, you could either keep it in your freezer or you could start to let it thaw naturally in your fridge.
Right.
And so that would take 3 or 4 days in my mind.
But at least
those
would
are
take
pretty big.
maybe
I feel like sometimes they take a little bit longer than that.
Yeah, but you want to thaw them naturally is the best way to go in your fridge. And then if they're fresh turkeys, then you have to wait for a little bit. Mm-hmm. But if you were walking down and you saw a turkey, what would you be looking for in the supermarket?
Well, I would be looking for something that looks dry, as in not wet in a bag, and you know, preferably something that's fairly dry. So I like when I see the turkey. You know, like when you go to the butcher shop and it's hanging and it's, you know, not full of water and all that stuff. I love when I see that.
Wait, what butcher shop are you going to where they're hanging turkeys? That's what I want to know.
It's the one the one when you come out of Paris and on the freeway.
Yeah, they have a lot of Thanksgiving. They have a lot of Thanksgiving celebrations in Paris.
They don't celebrate Thanksgiving, but they sell.
Once again, we have to look at Terry and say, "Never mind. Sorry, I asked the question."
No, I'm just kidding.
There's no more hanging turkeys in America.
What I'm looking for is at least a free range turkey, and as opposed to a...
we're shopping at Whole Foods right now for this segment.
Exactly.
And so that's what you're going to get.
That's right. Free range turkey. And I would not buy a pre-brine turkey because I like to brine my own turkey.
Good. That's kind of interesting there.
I'm not a big believer I'm not believing in buying a pre-brine turkey. I don't believe in that.
You know, I got to say, I don't know that I've ever seen a pre-brine turkey.
I was going to say, where
there is bags.
Is that
Terry
Istanbul that you're shopping now? Now you've left Paris and now you're on to Istanbul.
Tom, it's funny you asked that question because last weekend, 2 days ago, I went to buy a chicken for my house, and I was at in a store, and I'd never seen that before, but they had pre-brine chicken in bags.
Well,
but I'm saying that I would not buy one of those.
I
would definitely buy a free-range chicken.
Hey, Tom, if you were going to be walking through the aisles of Whole Foods Market right now, what would you be looking for in a turkey?
I would look...
Tom.
No, wait. Let me ask that question.
Chef Tom. So anyway, I would be looking for, personally, if you've got a party of 10 or 15, I'm always thinking turkey number 1 and then leftovers number 2. So I want to buy enough turkey that you're going to have leftovers for the next day. Same way with my gravy. I want to make enough gravy, make enough mashed potatoes, so that you have leftovers for the next day. The things you don't want leftovers, the vegetables, right? Those kind of side dishes.
No one cares.
No one cares. They're not going to get better. But the others all do fine.
Right.
So then I think about, turkey, I think a pound a person, because you've got the big carcass and blah, blah, blah. And then I think a half a pound a person for leftovers. So if I have 10 people, I want a 15-pound turkey. That gives me enough leftovers to have. If I have 20 people, I want 2 15-pound turkeys.
Right.
I don't want a 30-pound turkey. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you on that.
Totally.
Now explain to us why. Oh, you're about to do it. This is perfect. Go
Oddly
for
enough, I have an opinion on this. Number one, it's hard to find a roasting pan big enough for a 30-pound turkey. Not many
Correct.
people have it. And so you got this thing stuffed into a smaller pan, and it doesn't get browned evenly, and the bottom stays blonde, and all that kind of stuff. So cooking, too, is much simpler. They cook a ton faster. So on a 30-pound turkey, Terry, the top of the breast, the outside part of the breast
Would be dry by the
it's going to
time-
be halfway rock hard by the time the inside part of the breast gets
Correct.
going, because our domestic turkeys are so breast heavy that it's just hard. It's hard to get them done. Then I'm a briner, so if I'm in Whole Foods Market looking for a turkey, I'm looking for a nice, preferably as local as possible.
Right.
And typically, Northern California is a big area for producing turkeys, so I'll stay away from the Arkansas turkeys, and that's
Stay on
another
the West
big.
Coast.
That's southern turkey business. Same way with chicken and duck. They have a lot of poultry farms down there, so I'll try and stay West Coast, and then I look for things with no additives, which is probably pretty typical for a Whole Foods. You're not going to find a turkey with a bunch of stuff.
Right.
Like if you get the traditional market turkeys, like a butterball or something, if you look at them, lots of them have saline solutions added to them. They're just plumped up, right? And then all that plumpness, when it goes into the
Comes
oven,
right out.
drains right out. And so you see that with hams.
Right.
You see that with all sorts of things that
And
have.
that's what makes controlling a dry turkey super hard, because if all your moisture comes right out of the turkey right at the beginning, then it's very hard to control the moisture on your turkey.
Right. So I'm not saying all those brands are done that way, but it's something to look for in the ingredient list.
Right.
I mean, you look at a turkey, you think that you don't have to look at an ingredient list.
because you think you're just getting a plain old turkey.
But honestly, they have to write it on there, and you'll see on many of those things it says, 7% water solution added, or whatever that number is. And it can be high.
Yeah.
It can be up to 10, 12% sometimes.
Yeah,
And
that
so
water,
why pay all that money for a bunch of water?
Right.
So then once you have your turkey and you've picked it out and it's, as local as possible, it's got no additives, you say you like to brine it. Is there anything special that you're doing with your brine? Is that just straight salt and water, or what's your ratio?
My ratio is 1/3 salt to 1 part salt to 5 parts water. So if I have 5 cups of water, I have 1 cup of salt. And a lot of that's going to come off. And then I like to put in herbs, dried herbs, juniper berries, things of that sort to kind of infuse some flavor into it. Although it's typically a cold brine, and that's
Right.
very difficult to
Right.
get much out of.
It is not very common to put a lot of spices, because they don't actually come through very much. You're just putting salt and water together, cold, in the refrigerated area or close to that. So there's no really the breakdown of the oil doesn't really happen, or none of this really happens. So you're not actually flavoring your turkey besides salting it.
So
The salting takes some of the moisture out of the turkey, which in turn, I think at the end of the day, makes a little crisper turkey when you're baking it.
got it. And does it
Crisper
retain
skin,
and retaining moisture inside the meat itself? Does it do any
Yeah,
of
I don't
that,
think
or
it-
no?
I really don't think it
It's
has
just
anything
an
to-
exterior.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I
I don't think it does that. I think it just
mean,
makes
logically, if you put a brine on something, like if you're brining salmon for a lox or something, you're actually taking moisture out.
Right.
Right.
That's what the salt does. It opens the pores and it extracts the moisture.
Okay, so you've brined your turkey. How long
And
are you
then
doing
let's
that
go back
for?
to that 1 second. That's a wet brine that we're talking about. A dry brine is just as simple as an herb rub or a dry. Like I make this rub with love spices. That's a dry brine.
Right.
And you put that on. You can put that on a day in advance, and it does somewhat the same thing. It'll extract moisture out of your skin, start to infuse the skin with the dry brine flavors, and probably get you more flavor because you're not going to be rinsing it off
Right.
as you are a wet brine. So it's that's another way to do it. Okay, so then when you do the wet brine, we just do it overnight, 24 hours. I don't think you want to go much longer than that. You'll end up with like a too dry of a breast.
Right.
The leg and thigh you don't have to worry about.
Now, then into the oven it eventually goes after
Indeed it
all the
does.
brining happens.
So it's
And-
important also when it comes out of the brine to rinse it off thoroughly. It's important to do that because it's been sitting in that water and salt. Blood's been extracted, water and so on and so forth. You want to make sure you rinse it off correctly.
So rinsing it and then pat it dry.
Pat it dry, super
I
dry.
assume.
Yes.
And then what are you guys putting on your turkey before you stick it in the oven? Are you just like straight butter and salt and pepper, or are you guys getting fancy-pantsy because you guys are chefs and that's what you do?
I like to stick butter, sliver of butter under the skin.
With some sage
And-
maybe or something.
Yeah, and then I put inside the bird, I always put citrus and sage and rosemary.
And my little trick is coffee beans.
Oh, yeah.
I
that's right.
use coffee beans because they're very aromatic, especially when they get hot and start to roast in the oven. You know how it smells in the morning, that kind of hard roasted coffee that you get to.
I think
that you
that's
drink?
mostly the smell that wakes me up in the morning.
Well, there's two smells in the morning that really get me like that: coffee and bacon.
Yeah.
And they are both just amazingly
motivating
or authentic.
It will get you out of bed.
Yeah, and so those very same coffee beans just kind of infuse. That's because coffee is toasted, right? And so that roasted flavor is almost like adding a little bit of charcoal flavor.
So do you put it under the turkey or in the
No, I
turkey?
put them right in the cavity as a part of my aromatic mix, and then as the turkey cooks, it creates a lot of juices in the cavity, and they kind of steep with the coffee beans. Then you just kind of gently pour those into your drippings, so you get a little bit of that toasty flavor right in your gravy. And
So it does come through.
oh yeah.
Good.
Well, no, it comes. It's if it's right, if you're not overdoing it, it comes through like everything else. It adds depth of flavor.
Right,
What
right.
we're trying
One
to
more
create
layer.
is a gravy that is like, wow, this is really good. That's why I add a little bit of wine to my gravy, because gravy is all fat, right? It's all roux. It's the dripping fat with some flour and then the stock.
Right.
Well, if you add a little wine, you're adding some acid to that.
Right.
And you're balancing out your gravy into a much more palatable thing instead of being cloying and sticking
Absolutely.
on your palate.
So when you make a real...
But if you add too much wine, then it tastes whiny, and then it's not
Yeah.
good. So
No,
it's
of
all
course.
about that balance. Same with the coffee beans.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm excited about that. I'm going to try this.
So I'm going to give you guys some dishes, and you get 2 ingredients to add to said dish to make it ordinary to extraordinary.
Shoot.
Okay, my first one for you guys, and Thierry, I think I already know one of your ingredients.
Harissa?
Scrambled. Well, you do love harissa more than anyone
you
that
have
I've
to
ever
take
met.
that off the list.
Yeah, you
Okay,
can't
okay.
actually add that any more to anything.
You need to get a little more creative.
Scrambled eggs. Your average, everyday scrambled eggs.
Oh, I know
would
what you meant.
add?
It wasn't harissa, it was caviar.
Yeah. Again, I'm coming to your place for breakfast.
Harissa, I'm
ingredients.
going to do caramelized onion, and I'm going to do collard green.
Caramelized onion and collard greens.
So I'm going to caramelize some
Very-
onions, and I'm going to
okay.
braise some collard green. I'm gonna obviously going to serve the collard green on the side, but the caramelized onion is going to go into the scrambled egg.
Interesting. Tom?
I would take what he just did, and add some Tabasco sauce, and I'm fine with that.
Wow.
You can't do that.
You got
I can.
really lazy on this one, Tom Douglas. I'm ashamed.
Scrambled eggs, they're for breakfast, right?
Right.
So, I would just do chives or something of that sort, where you just a light chive. And then I would turn it into an omelet and do a goat cheese and chive omelet. So
Wait,
an omelet is a... No.
You can't
An
turn scrambled egg into an
yes,
omelet,
you
Mr.
can.
Douglas.
Yes,
Oh.
you can. So an omelet is essentially scrambled eggs. You're just stirrings.
But what if you just did a soft scramble?
This
Then
is-
you're-
this
then
is
you're
when you
more
see the
along
difference
Goat
in
cheese
line.
and
cooking.
chives.
Okay, goat cheese and
But I
chives.
just
Goat
think
cheese and chives.
turn it into an omelet, and it's even better. And people are scared of the word omelet, but essentially it's just shaped scrambled eggs. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's all it is. It's the same exact thing, but you let them set in a pan, and you simply fold over the egg onto the ingredients.
Look at you, Tom Douglas. Confidence in the kitchen. Make yourself an omelet.
Which is all BS, because scrambled eggs are not foldable. Period. They're not. An omelet is foldable.
If you let it sit in the pan for an extra 10
well, then
seconds...
it becomes that's not scrambled egg, though. Come on, scrambled egg are supposed to be runny and.
Excuse me. Can we move on?
Yeah, I think before we
So 2 ingredients
before we
to make
break
it
out into a
to make
fist
it
fight.
extraordinary.
Yes.
So you've taken scrambled eggs
We already
and you've
know.
made an omelet.
Well,